Hey folks, welcome back into Pro Football Ireland. Michael McQuaid, Michaela Fagan. On another podcast, we're really rolling through this off-season, a few weeks out from the NFL schedule release. Delighted to be joined by former NFL coach, player over in the UK, and also Sky Sports NFL Talk Sport NFL analyst, among many other titles. I don't think I've done her justice. Phoebe Schecter. Phoebe, how are you doing? You good?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you guys doing? It's so nice to see faces again. I feel like it's been so long since we were all together, whether it's Super Bowl or playoffs or Germany. So it's great to be reunited.
I almost forgot about Germany, Phoebe. I was gonna say, like, it does seem like a little while ago since we were all in Phoenix together and trying to beat Uber traffic, etc. Different stories for a different podcast. But here, like, how have you found the last few months? Because I was saying just to everyone, it's sort of flowing in, and it's scarily like we're 2 weeks away from it being like 3 weeks to the or 3 months, sorry, to the season starts.
I know it is kind of mad, really. I mean, the fact that we're mid-May, OTAs have started, mandatory minicamps, all that good stuff's going on. You've got the draft as well. So I think the NFL is really good at kind of giving us like little bits to hang on to carry us all the way through till the season starts again. So, I miss being with all my people. I definitely miss seeing, again, people like yourself, but I think it's a much needed reset. We can kind of come back better and stronger and revived for the madness that is going to be the NFL 2023 season.
And Phoebe, just so if some people aren't aware about your background and stuff like that, would you be able just to give us a little bit of insight into your journey and to where your career is now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my journey is a complete roller coaster. Essentially, I moved to England 10 years ago to work with horses. That's always been my passion and still really is. And then literally, I didn't know anybody. I was 22, living in a foreign country. I was missing home, missing that American culture, missing the weather, and just wanted to really try and meet people essentially. So tried out for a team. I felt like it was a sign because I saw an ad on social media, tried out for an American football team near me in Manchester. And really from that moment on, like my trajectory completely changed. I started really planning towards how I could create a career in American football. So playing turned into coaching because I felt like I couldn't play forever despite being 33 and still playing. But it really went mad. And I think, I've had so many great people in my life to thank for that. But I applied for the Bill Walsh Diversity Fellowship, which essentially is like almost like a foot in the door opportunity if you get it, to be able to do training camp or off-season workouts with an NFL team. So for me, I ended up with the Buffalo Bills, which was incredible. So I was 2017, I was with defensive backs first, and then they asked me back again 2019 season, and I was with tight ends. Kind of worked for NFL UK and with the community department throughout that. Coached in Germany with Potsdam Royals as a DC, which is like the German Football League first division. And then I don't even know how it happened at this point. I now get to be this pundit for Sky Sports, which has just been incredible because of the team I get to work with and people I get to meet and where I get to travel. So broadcasting has somehow come into my career, probably because I talk too much. But here we are. So yeah, it's mad, that's for sure.
It's been awesome to see the rise of Phoebe Schecter. I think that's the title of this podcast. Now I'm going to use that and bank that trademark. Phoebe, we'll probably touch on there a lot of what you said in some of the questions and just go into a little bit more detail on them. I guess for you, I think for anything to be successful in life, you have to take risks, and I think that's a prime example of what you've done. I mean, how has taking risks, positively affected your career, and how have you found taking risks? Because it has been such a journey for you over these last few years, especially.
Yeah, it has, and I think you're so spot on, Michael. Like, risks are literally what's gotten to me where I am today. I think once you kind of overcome that fear of potential failure and the what if this happens, you open up the world of opportunity. And, when I first moved to this country, it was a risk. I was kind of pushed into it, to be honest. I'd gone for an interview with someone on the Dutch Olympic team based in the UK. And I said to him at the time, look, this is this is silly, if I'm being honest. I had no interest in moving. If I could, it wasn't for another 6-7 months. And he just basically said, figure it out, you're hired. And for me, that was that push that I need. And I think a lot of us in life probably have these moments where we're just kind of on the edge. We feel like we're complacent, or we're plateauing perhaps a little bit, or just comfortable doing what we're doing. And sometimes we need that little external force to just give that little nudge. And, that little nudge for me turned into, building my confidence. And I feel so empowered now. And I want to share that. I kind of use the term send the elevator back down, because who I am now is literally based off of just a whole bunch of decisions and great support around me. But I'm no different to anybody else. We're all cut from the same cloth. It's just a series of decisions we make. And I feel so lucky. I mean, even looking at risk from the point of, I've never done TV before. What am I? I have no right to be doing TV in that sense. But what happened essentially was our host, Neil Reynolds, got COVID, unfortunately, one Christmas, and myself and Hannah Wilkes, they were like, well, who can we kind of call on or trust in the situation? And we stayed ready, right? You stay prepared. You're just kind of working, doing your thing in the background. And they called us up, and, we were the first women to host this NFL show on a Sunday. And, we didn't screw it up too bad. So they've asked us back again. But, it's just a whole series of these taking chances and telling people exactly what it is that you want to do. Because the more people that know that what you want to do or what your dreams are, the more people that might think of you in that moment.
Yeah, there's always a saying, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Isn't that a saying? Yeah. So you've obviously had so many amazing moments. Even just listening to even coaching with the Bills sounds fantastic. But to you, what's your most memorable moment to date in your career?
That is so tough. I can't even lie, because I kind of have to break it down into 3 different areas of my life. I think coaching, my broadcasting career, and my playing career. I'd say if I go through them quickly, playing career, we were, as Team GB, complete underdogs going to the Euros in 2015. And we beat Germany, who were this total powerhouse. And it was our first time playing 11-a-side, because in the UK at that time, we were only playing 5-a-side. And we made it to the finals. I mean, we got our butts kicked by Finland, but the actual heart of the people around, and there's no replacement for how that moment was for us and what we achieved as a kind of nobody team as underdogs. So I'd say that's my playing, incredible moment. Coaching is, and I don't know if you guys remember the Vikings game versus Buffalo. It was in Minnesota, and it was the game where Josh Allen hurdled one of the players. It's his first iconic hurdling photo, and it was in Minnesota. And there's a couple things that kind of came into play. One, we had this game plan of getting rid of the Minnesota fans by halftime. Essentially, our goal was to see the purple leave the stadium, and to be there and see that happen, see that wave of purple leave. And we won. That was really our first win of the season. To go into that locker room afterwards for our post-game speech, I mean, the euphoria, the energy, the everything you're working for coming down to that one moment, all the time and sacrifice coming, and that's just one win, that's just one game. That by far is definitely my best coaching moment. And I think my best broadcasting moment really just happened, and that was the opportunity to broadcast at the Super Bowl. And not only that, I was able to be pitch side, literally in the end zone of the Chiefs, and that was, I know how fortunate I am to be able to be in that position, and how many people would love to have that opportunity. And I just hope that I'm able to express the gratitude, but express how it feels and share that with people. And for me, that's my ultimate goal, is how can I just share everything that I get to feel, so that you feel like you're there with me.
I think that definitely, I mean, obviously I had to watch it back and record it and stuff, but from what I've seen, it definitely resonated at home. And I think that is half the battle as well, Phoebe. I know that you were chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee at BAFA, the British American Football Association. Is that still the case, or what's your current role just with them at the moment?
Yeah, so same with BAFA, and I've also taken on IFAF as well, which is our international federation, which basically runs all American football. So that's another all-encompassing title, really, because I think we're in a place in sport where football is for everyone. And how do we create as many opportunities as possible to let other people fall in love with this great sport that we like, whether you're talking about as a spectator, a coach, an official, there's so many roles for people within this sport. And I think we need to make sure that we're acknowledging the fact that, hey, this sport is changing for the better, right? We talk so much, I think, this past season about Super Bowl having 2 Black quarterbacks. And we're like, yeah, okay, there are 2 Black quarterbacks. Great. Like, this is exactly what it should be. Why it's it's more of a discussion point because it hasn't happened before, and that makes us reflect on ourselves. But yeah, there are some definitely interesting things that I have to do in my role, initiatives I get to create, but it's all a reflection on the stakeholders and the people who own the sport, and how can we make sure that everyone feels like they've got the right to it.
Obviously, you sound like such a busy woman. I don't know how you handle all this stuff, but just can you talk to us coffee? A lot of people would probably agree with you there, but can you just talk a little bit more about your time in Buffalo and kind of what you were doing there and the people you interacted with and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Buffalo, well, my first role initially was really just to be there with the defensive backs. It was great because I got to be with corners, and then I got to spend time with safeties, and really that first training camp for me was absorbing what it's like to be in the elite level. What does it mean to be in the NFL from a coaching perspective, from a player perspective, and really kind of absorb everything that comes with it. And it was a really steep learning curve. I didn't have anything in my experience, even though I'd been to college and shadowed or did some internships out of college, nothing prepares you for literally the speed and intensity of the NFL. So roles was training camp, so it's full on anyways, but roles are like scout team, prepping cards, like drawing cards for our defense, which represent an offense, just really like trying to coach up the players as much as possible, kind of all that stuff. But I think it was, I had a lot of moments that first training camp where I really had to be like, all right, I don't know the terminology. I need to, I can either sit here and exist, or I can get on with it, push myself and figure something out. So creating a glossary for all the different terminology, because really in football, we just make it so hard for no reason. We have 10 words for the same thing, but it's all about what that team's language is. So what is Bill's language? What a certain run play would be called one thing here, it'll be called something totally else there. So really trying to figure that out. And then when it moved into, and sorry, to be fair, at the end of training camp, I had a conversation with our head coach, Coach McDermott, and we both knew that I was not ready to be on for a full season. So he was like, go away, upskill yourself, sort whatever you need to do out. And so I went off to University of Bryant, which was a Div 1 school on the East Coast, volunteered essentially as an offensive coordinator, stayed on my head coach's couch for, the whole season, pretty much made like $500 in food, which for me does not last. I eat a lot. I'm sure Michael will tell you about it.
Snacks.
It's lots of snacking all the time. So really like came back around. I'd stayed in contact with Buffalo, and they were like, hey, we'd love to have you back for training camp. And this time you're going to be with tight ends. Now, this journey was much different than my first time around. First off, there were higher expectations because I'd been there, done that already. But also my coach I was with, Rob Boris, he used to be with the Bears. He had kind of taken on the OC role out at the Rams. He had never had an intern in all 13 years of his NFL career. And when you've got someone like that who's so used to doing things for themselves, it really makes you feel like, all right, well, what can I do so that I don't become redundant here? So by him having that, it forced me to think 5 steps ahead of him all the time, which was great because I'm like, all right, I need to get this set up at practice so that when the guys come out, I need to find out where the cameras are. So when we're filming, we know what angles we're going to get. You need to get all the printouts ready, all the grade sheets, and I was able to kind of create this role where, yes, I was assistant tight ends, but also kind of offensive quality control. I was able to help the defense because my desk was sat with really the defensive coaches. So, drawing cards for them, putting together any of that sort of, opponent stuff, scouting stuff, and then running scout team with special teams. So the role became super encompassing, which was awesome because I got to learn so much about everything. And, you travel to the away games, you do everything. I was part of the team 100%. So, you're with these guys all the time. And I think you just become a big family. And I think one of the things that I was really keen on was making sure that, especially with tight ends, there's only 5 of us maybe in a room at a time. It's a really small group of people. And it was really important that I wasn't trying to change who anybody was. You're 24/7 with each other. I want you guys to be as comfortable as possible. And, that way we get the most out of you, right? Authenticity kind of rules at this point because you can fake who you are for a little bit, but it's going to show eventually, right? I mean, you're literally with each other through stressful situations, through tough times. And, so it was really cool to be able to just feel like they're all my big brothers. And, you get some really, really special moments with the people, not just the players, but the coaches, the staff, the scouts, the S&C, dietitians, like so many people make an NFL team run.
It's funny because like you've mentioned so many people there, and I can't stress it enough just from trying to book Jeff Reinbold onto a Zoom call, Phoebe, the amount of time that people put into that job. And I'd say for you as well, like it is, as you said, 24/7. And I guess when you have such a long off season, when okay, maybe there isn't like a down being played in the field, but there is so much work going into that. And how did it feel like for you getting to that point where you're standing on the sideline and there is finally a down being played? Is that when it hit you, or was there a moment where it hit you that you were in Buffalo? Or
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Buffalo fans, first off, we have a game on Sunday, they start tailgating on the Thursday. So it's really crazy to be driving into work because we're lucky that the office is also the same place as the stadium, literally just, walking distance across. So the parking lot across the way, which is where the new stadium is being built, that's where the people start tailgating. So you see the passion from the community already. But, you get down on that field and I always pregame have like my pregame routine, which I love. And it's just a game, literally, in terms of, let's say, Michaela, you and I, we're 10 yards apart and we have to play this points game. So you take the football, we throw it to each other, but like you have to aim for in the body and you get 1 point for body. If you aim in the face region, it's like 2 points for face. And, first to 10 or something silly like that. And it's whether you're playing with other coaches or other players. And it's just this really nice moment together. And, I always remember Charles Clay was like one of the greatest tight ends. And he used to always cheat. And it drove me nuts all the time because, normally you throw the football and you just kind of like zing it right at someone trying to like get in the air. He would like throw it up so it kind of like slowly arched down and just landed so perfectly and slowly right in front of your face. And I just thought, but like moments like that pregame, having those moments with people, being on the grass, looking around, hearing the music, it just makes you feel, gosh, I'm so lucky to be a part of this and be a part of something so much greater than myself.
I'm literally nearly tearing up listening to that, especially when you were talking about the game and throwing the football around. I remember when I just started to get into American football and me and my girlfriend were trying to learn to throw the ball with a spiral, which she's really good at it, but we were learning we were learning to do it. And like we were in like a park in Dublin and this couple came over to us and she was from America and she was from Boston and she was like, oh, I'll teach you how to throw it and all this stuff. It's crazy like how it connects everybody. But looking ahead to the 2023 season, we were lucky enough to get the schedule released the other day. Is there anything that stands out from it? What are you looking most forward to? I think we're all looking just forward to any type of game, but for you, what particularly stands out?
I mean, man, how competitive this season is going to be. Some of these draft picks coming through. I mean, looking at the international piece, if I'm being honest, we have some super competitive games. Trevor Lawrence versus Josh Allen. You've got Titans coming over again. Then you've got the Germany games. I mean, for me, like, it just says so much about how the international games are growing and how important it is for people. 2 games back to back in Frankfurt and what that can mean in terms of, like the amount of people coming over, flying over for that, taking over a whole city. I love that now they're kind of doing Black Friday games. There's way more freedom in terms of teams can play Thursday night games more than once. And, they're really making it so it's kind of feels like it's the viewer's choice. Like it feels like we're a part of it as fans, as whomever, getting to create these schedules because I think they know people just want more football and people want
Yeah.
the excitement. Christmas Day, who cares? Like, let's just play more football.
Seriously, like I'm definitely excited for Frankfurt. I'll talk about that in a bit, but that's gonna be fun. And just like the London games as well. I will not deep dive too much into this, but it might go for your last question because we are going to ask later on about a bold prediction. But I think the
Uh-oh.
Lions playing first is interesting because that's either crash or burn situation. I guess for us it's 1 a.m. in the morning,
Yeah.
and it's going to be fun. What was I even going to ask? I'm just so engrossed in this conversation, Phoebe. Yes,
I
the
just talk
draft.
too much.
um, we obviously had the draft party in Dublin, and I think we put the Thursday night preview show with yourself and Neil on beforehand, and then it went live after, so people were watching it. I really enjoyed the coverage. What was what was KC like to actually have the draft in? And I know that you were only there for a couple of days, but it must have been awesome to have been there, especially on night one when there were so many surprises at the start as well.
So many surprises. I mean, really, I was really blown away by how many Kansas City fans there were there. Like the sea of red that was there was really surprising because I almost imagined it to be more like an international game, whereas a few more spread out fans from the different teams. But there was a massive Kansas City presence, which is, makes sense. Travis Kelce, Mahomes were there, the whole shebang really. And the NFL just does such a great job of putting on an experience. I'd never been to the draft before, so seeing what really happens behind the scenes is quite cool, or what's not shown on TV. They've got bands playing all the time. Colleen Wolfe did a great job, just kind of revving up the crowds. Being able to go, we went to the kind of play football event the day before the draft and got to speak to Bryce Young and CJ Stroud and all these kind of first rounders and, getting to know them and seeing what they're like firsthand. I think we all, first off, Bryce Young spoke, and I think our entire Sky crew just fell in love with him. I mean, the way this young man spoke and the charisma and passion and the authenticity that he carried about himself. I mean, he was just wonderful, but that's almost all of them. I've never seen such a great group of young men who seem so wise beyond their years and were just such a pleasure to have a conversation with. I felt like that was really impressive. And then again, like draft night itself, it was great because we did our pregame show, or pre-draft show, I should say, and that was 2 hours long. First off, Rick Spielman is incredible. That man has such a wealth of knowledge and he could literally chat forever. But
He's
yeah,
great.
it's fun.
He's great. Like he's so good. Like I've seen him at Radio Row, and he looks like Scott Hansen's cousin in real life.
Yes,
Yeah,
he does. I mean, he was just wonderful. Like the things that the color he's able to bring to the experience of the draft and those little nuances that happen in that war room or amongst scouts and coaches was just, it's just, you could listen to him all day long. And such a funny guy as well. So that always helps making things better. And then, watching the kind of the crowds pile in and getting to Neil recommend, he's like, hey, we can sit in here and watch the first round. I was like, absolutely. So seeing that emotion, hearing the crowd, I mean, just absorbing all of that, again, like just so fortunate to be there, and the flyover and the songs and it's just, And at the end of it, I don't even know if anyone remembers, we had Fall Out Boy from when I was a teenager. Fall Out Boy played that night. Motley Crue played the second night. So when we were trying to film our review show the next day, Motley Crue were practicing in the background. But I mean, gosh, it's all just part of the stories, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's literally amazing the culture that American football brings, not even to America, but to everywhere. It's amazing. Even in the UK, there's pubs dedicated to specific teams like the Jaguars, especially. Looking ahead to the season, and especially the Buffalo Bills, they're a great team with probably one of easily a top 5 quarterback in Josh Allen, but they seem to struggle to always get past the playoffs. Why do you think that is? Or what do you think stopping them just reaching the big game, and what improvements could they make to get there?
Yeah, I think they really struggled, to be honest. The past year, there was a lot of pressure on them to get to the Super Bowl. Everybody thought they were Super Bowl contenders last year. My prediction was Eagles Bills for Super Bowl, but I think they just had too many faces of adversity, right? From DeMar Hamlin, Dawson Knox's brother. They had the Buffalo shooting the year before, Kim Pagula getting poorly. They had Dane Jackson earlier in the year who had an injury, losing Micah Hyde, losing Von Miller. You get enough of these situations happening. They got stuck in Chicago over Christmas and missed Christmas with their family. They got stuck in Detroit, had to move a game to Detroit. I'm like, any other team, I don't think they would handle it as well as the Bills did. That's not even just from a biased perspective. I just genuinely feel like there was so much, but the run game needs to improve. They had brought in Von Miller for the pass rush and obviously lost him towards the end of the season, which was tough. So, kind of filling out that D line, but we didn't see Gabe Davis show up as much as we thought he would this past season. He had some moments, but if you're just relying on Stephon Diggs the whole time, it makes it really tough. So you've got to build up some more weapons so that it's not the Josh Allen show as much as it was, just because longevity as a quarterback is really tough. That's how he's going to have to play all the time.
Yeah, the AFC East is going to be interesting this year. I can't wait to sit and watch it and watch your analysis, Phoebe, and it's going to be interesting. You're on our turf in August, I'm led to believe. Now you don't have to confirm anything, but obviously the European Flag Championships are coming to Limerick. I've never been to Limerick, Michaela, so I don't know. I've watched that show Love Hate. That's as far as I've got with Limerick.
I've never been to Limerick either.
What?
I'm going, and we're going as well in January. If anyone's listening to this, for I want to say, what's the one after what? Divisional Sunday. We're going to be in Limerick for Divisional Sunday. It's already half sold out. Check online. Anyway, Phoebe, that's the weekend before the Notre Dame game. Are you planning to hang around? Is there maybe an intention of coming back, or is it that week in Limerick at the moment?
Yeah, so plans so far are the week in Limerick for our European Flag Championships, because that brings us to the 20th or 19th.
Yes. Yeah.
And then a cheeky little drive up to Dublin is on the books after that for the game. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. I get to be on your turf now, guys.
I have to say, I'll just put in before Michaela gets next question. That's really exciting, because we're 32 minutes into this conversation. We can publicly say this. We're definitely doing something that week for the college thing. So I will happily be in touch with Guinness. But that sounds awesome. And if you need any help or anything, I'm sure Michaela will let you stay at her place for the week. I'm joking, Michaela.
Oh, 100%.
A full week. I'm moving in.
Brilliant. You'd be like a big sister. I have 2 brothers, so I'll happily take that. While a lot of roles in the industry, especially in the NFL, are kind of male dominated, the NFL is definitely pushing to change that, and we can definitely see that, all the coaches, and I think even the Vikings were going to interview a woman for a head coach position. Her name is completely gone out of my head, but I remember just seeing that and being like, oh my god, I could be a general manager of an NFL team if I really wanted to. It's there, the opportunities are there. So what is your advice that you'd offer to women who want to kind of break into a career in the NFL?
Ask for help. Honestly, literally reach out to anybody, whether you're talking NFL, college, reach out and say you want to learn from them, shadow, intern, whatever that looks like. Because so many people are willing to help. And again, none of us got to where we are without the help of someone else. So put yourself out there. We have an NFL careers forum specifically for women as well. So try and get involved in that, because that's a great pathway. Sam Rappaport from the NFL runs that. It's a great pathway for, selected people to get into the NFL, but be a student of the game, ask questions, network. So much of it is networking, just as kind of everything else in the world. But yeah, don't be afraid to reach out to people and just ask for help, or ask just to learn from them. We all want to share knowledge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think that's good advice. Yeah, great advice.
I am not going to let you off this call, Phoebe. Last question. We'll hide this. Give us a bold prediction ahead of the new season. Give us something crazy that I can put on TikTok and people are going, "What is going on here?" Do you know what? Do you know what? I'll make it easier for you. Yeah, one of the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins will miss the playoffs. I mean, that's all. Like, one of them's going to struggle anyway because of that division. But
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that division is so competitive now. I am with you. Like, one of them is going to miss the playoffs, but can Aaron Rodgers take the Jets with that jacked, stacked defense to a Super Bowl? Because it kind of makes me feel like Tom Brady when he went down to the Buccaneers, first year there, took him to a Super Bowl. There's nothing saying the Jets couldn't get to a Super Bowl, which is crazy.
let's see what happens. Phoebe, look, I have been bugging you on WhatsApp for the last 3 weeks about this, so thank you so much for coming on. It was great crack, as we say. And not just great fun, but I'm sure Michaela will agree as well. Just very, very insightful, and we're obviously rooting for you, for the whole Sky Sports team, and just everything you're doing over the next few months and seasons. Just to keep going. At Phoebe_Schecter on Instagram. I want to say that's the same on Twitter, but just type in Phoebe Schecter. We'll link everything below. See you in I'm going to be in Limerick, I think, but we'll definitely see you in a few months' time, and we'll stay on the Zoom call to try and get you a ticket for that game. It's hard to get a ticket. Phoebe, thanks so much.
Thank you guys so much.